He's a work in progress, and if he hung around us very much, we could win him over. Because we have, you know what? That's good common ground right there. The integrity of elections. Who wouldn't be for that? And so I appreciate Michael coming out, and I want to try to get him scheduled at some of the other Tea Parties around the state, because the stuff that he's talking about is very valuable. We'll close. I'm going to close with this remark. Yeah, vote count means a lot, and all of this that Michael has presented to us really plays into the future of this country. I don't know if I've got confidence in the integrity of our elections, but here's what I do know. There's enough resistance to having a constitutionalist elected as president that if it is that a Donald Trump or a Rand Paul or Ted Cruz happens to get the nomination over and above, I started to say George, supporting Jeb Bush. If Jeb Bush isn't nominated, I predict that the elections will be suspended by a Democrat president who will conspire with the complex surrounding Washington, because the neocons who are Democrats and Republicans, and I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore, and as Rand Paul said, you know who you are. He did that, he said that, and I respect him for calling them out. They will not have the control with a Ted Cruz, a Scott Walker. And my feeling personally is once Benghazi comes out against the Democrats' nominee, that we could run a dog catcher against her and win. And they already know that because they got the goods on Benghazi and they won't let it out until she's nominated. And if Jeb Bush doesn't get the Republican nomination, if we are successful, as Tea Parties across the state want to do, maybe it's Ted Cruz, maybe it's Scott Walker. Some are really going after Donald Trump. I've got my opinion about that. But I think the Republican Party deserves Donald Trump. I think that they've been hiding so much in the deep weeds that Donald Trump is forcing them to come out of the weeds. And some of them are doing it. Some of them are doing it, and I respect them, but they're in convulsions. Look, hang on. This is a closing statement. I didn't want to turn it over to questions, but I'm going to let you ask a question.
Isn't Jesse Ventura running?
Boy, I'm really sorry I let you ask that question. Hey, I can give you a good answer on that. I don't know. All right. So, Jesse Ventura, although I can turn these lights back on. I'm not going to make a whole lot of comments on Jesse. He is another Donald Trump-like candidate, one who really doesn't care who he hurts, who he exposes. I respect him for that. I respect Donald Trump for that. But Donald Trump is a landmine for the Republican Party, and God help whoever steps on him, because he will tear the party apart. Now, I'm not saying who I support. Well, I will say who I support, but I'm not saying who you should support. What I am saying here is that if Jeb Bush, who I am trying to block, everybody out there understand that Dennis Moore is trying to block Jeb Bush in the primaries. Because I don't want the same complex that surrounded these 6 presidents still having the authority that has been going on in the last several years with our policies towards Saudi Arabia. I'm tired of that. And Jeb Bush will give that same authority to the complex that surrounds him. I want a Scott Walker or a Ted Cruz. I had some problems with the way Ted voted for fast track. Wanted to answer those questions. But my prediction, folks, and I'm going to close, if Jeb Bush does not get the nomination, and it's close, Donald Trump is sucking the oxygen out of the room for all them candidates. I think he's actually sowing for Bush, but it may backfire on him. If he didn't get the nomination, they're going to suspend the elections. They cannot let one of our constitutional conservatives run, because the Republican that runs against Hillary is going to win, because they know what happened in Benghazi, and it is not a good story. They're holding back on it, and it will come out. Folks, thank you for coming out tonight. Michael, David, Bendor, thank you for coming out tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. You're welcome to come back anytime. And well, I'm not going to bring the mic to you. Did you have a comment before we close?
Yeah, comment. Glenn Beck doesn't seem to be so thrilled with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He was banning coverage on his show, and I read the specific reason. I guess something about Trump puts the emphasis on fixing government, I'll fix it.
Rather than making it small. What he said was, I'm going to repeat your comment so everybody can hear it. Glenn Beck doesn't have so much confidence in Donald Trump because he talks about fixing government rather than making government smaller. I think that's what Glenn's point is. And Donald Trump has a history. I don't want to get into the back and forth of who you ought to support. Donald Trump will take care of himself. I guarantee you that. He's going to take care of himself. There was only two accusations against Herman Cain. You remember we had Herman Cain here twice? And he was at the top of the polls. He said, I mean, Michael Dave doesn't know this, but he was here when he was the top. He really thought we could do something for him, and I love that about our caucus because I thought we could too. 2 accusations brought him down. They weren't even true. Oh my goodness. Wait till Donald Trump gets getting the nomination. I wonder what kind of accusations are in his wood file. But sometimes they can put it in the resume. Sometimes it just makes building up. I do want to close. Loud.
Real quick.
Loud.
Your prediction, Dennis.
My prediction.
About Obama putting a halt to the elections. If the nominee is anybody but Jeb Bush, I envision that in order for him to achieve that, it's going to require nothing short of martial law.
That's what that is.
And in order for him to enact martial law, he's going to need some kind of emergency that's gymmed up in order for him to...
I just didn't want to get into that tonight, but you're 100% right. There could be what do they call it?
False flag.
False flag emergency that would authorize, but he doesn't need authorization. He can turn power over to the military, and that's called martial law by an executive order.
And the way our country is so divided at this point, I see it very possible that they're going to try and to induce a race riot.
Okay, well that's an opinion about how they would accomplish it. He said they would try to induce a race riot. I say it'll probably be an Islamic attack. But whatever the reason, the causality for suspending the elections under martial law, I am saying that there's a consequence to not paying attention to what our country's doing. The complex that surrounds the decision makers in Washington. Remember, I've always said when lucre lobbies, liberty loses. And the money that surrounds Washington, the military-industrial complex, and believe me, I'm not referring to the military. I'm talking about the war-making machines that thrive on war, and there's no money in peace. They will not allow a constitutionalist who says we will only have constitutionally declared war. We will not have executive orders declaring war, because we will limit the sending of our military to a constitutionally provided provision before they go. Hillary authorized the war. She authorized it in the Senate. See, because when George W. sent the military, because of the way he sent it, because it wasn't a declared war, they had to authorize it under the War Powers Act. They had 90 days, and she authorized it. Why? Why did someone who opposes everything George W. stands for authorize that war? Because they know the debt has a problem. And the Democrats understand the same thing the Republicans do, but they don't let us understand it. They don't think we know. They think we can't handle this truth. And this truth is that both of them understand that if that debt, petrodollar, if they stop purchasing our debt, that and Democrats love debt. Republicans say we don't like it. We want to make government smaller. We want to stop spending. But the George Bush made government larger. He only said what he said. He didn't do what he said. So he too is dependent on the debt buying of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia purchasing our treasury bills that we create by unguarded social spending, by every single spending in the book that we will not manage as good governance. We won't do it. So neither side of the Republican or Democrat aisle is taking care of this business, and they're compromising their positions by being willing to go to war to protect that dollar over there. Saddam Hussein dumped the dollar. We went in, restored the dollar. Case closed. If Jeb Bush is not nominated, Dennis Moore, my credibility may go right out the window, but I believe that they will not allow a constitutionalist to become president, because too much rides on other countries, those Arab countries, Muslim countries, buying our debt. And that will stop if a constitutionalist becomes president, because we will not kowtow to Islam. And that's been my message for the last how many months, folks, you know it. I'm a little bit angry because our governor has welcomed Islam, ISNA, the Islamic Association of North America, people who were unindicted co-conspirators, $12 million to radical Islam, to use that $12 million to kill our troops or to make John Tomlinson the way he was when he came home. Yeah, I'm angry. But I'm just a drywall guy, folks, and I'm not a great orator. I don't even know how to say the word. But you know what? You're going to get my passion, because I got my grandchildren who will go when their country calls, even if it is Jeb Bush that calls. And your grandchildren will go too. And that's why Democrats and Republicans better realize what we have in common. And I'm so glad that Michael has come here with common ground on election integrity, because a lot of this lying and falsification of our elections have been used to authorize such a thing in deceit in the policies that person who's elected will establish. Yeah, we need election integrity. I just hope it's not too late. I just hope it's not too late. I fear that the elections will be suspended under martial law, maybe a false flag event. I mean, who wouldn't think it? I mean, we're bringing sleepers in under asylum. The Christians in Syria are not getting asylum, folks. The ones who are getting their heads cut off, who are leaving, away from their homes, running from radical Islam, those people are not getting the asylum that our governor is accepting from Obama. Tens of thousands going to Grand Rapids. Prove me wrong. And you prove me wrong that there wouldn't be sleepers in that group. Prove me wrong.
I think the whole Chinese army's here.
Well, we're not going to go with Chinese right now. We will spend on that. We will spend seminars on that. I mean, that's on the other side of the world. But I understand the Chinese threat. I do know that. You talk to somebody who knows it. I'm going to close. I've ranted on enough. I really do appreciate you folks. I tell you all the time, but you got to know that a few people who keep themselves aware and armed with a few facts can make a large difference in the cycle of elections that are coming up, because you will go talk to people and you will challenge people with what I have said, and that whether it's true or not, you will challenge them. Joe, I really do want to close.
All right, just real quick.
Loud.
And as they're bringing those refugees over here, it was brought up that the fact remains there was no way to vet them.
No way to vet them. What Joe's saying is that those refugees got asylum. There was no way. See, here's the thing. Joe, quit that, because I do want to close. I want to go home. Here's the thing. Yeah, do this. Last point. When a refugee asks for refugee status, the last thing in the world they're going to do is ask them to go home and get their birth certificate. All they have to do is make a summation that they're under physical duress or under threat if they had to go home. And we're going to give them refugee status. And then we're going to relocate them. I just talked to a friend of mine who's a trucker, said these people in Washington can go and get $40,000 from you people, the U.S. taxpayers, to buy a truck to get in business. And these are people who are here under the relocation program. And the federal government will give them $40,000. I'm working for this guy. Just put a garage door on for him today. And he told me, and it made me angry, folks. Joe, I wanted to go home, and this is your fault. You got to know this. This is important.
You got a drywall over there.
Here's what Pete told me. He's a big old boy. I'm telling you, he can take anybody down. And he was stopped, and they made him put a new tire on his truck. There was, what shall I want to be careful. You can call me an Islamophobe, I don't care. There was an Islamic fella who was here under the relocation program, having that new 40,000, it was a new truck, But they run these trucks so bad they don't upkeep them. He had bad tires all over that truck. And they are told from Washington, D.C., this is Pete's story, and I'm bringing him here. I told him he's going to come. They did not make that fella replace one single tire. And Pete's tire, I mean, these are expensive items for people who go to California and back. These truckers really are getting the shaft when it comes to how our policies are treating these relocated Islamists and giving them money to operate. I had to hear that today, and you had to hear my anger. But I did. Joe, that's your fault. Folks, thanks for coming out tonight. I love it that you care, and I love it that you're here. Good night.